Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and join me to talk about our NCAA Week 7 coverage of the Auburn Tigers versus the Ole Miss Rebels. It's our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? Talking some SEC football between the Rebels and the Tigers. Going to be a good matchup this week. Can't wait to talk more about it, my man.
That's right. We were just thinking, I saw this quote on Twitter yesterday that said the only way to the national championship is through the SEC. So, these are two SEC teams, correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why. I ever had any doubt in my mind. I'm so used to looking just at Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee things that whenever these teams come up, I know that we're always like, oh, if you get the loss though here though, it's an SEC loss.
Right.
So let's just think about that a lot. So for all of our live viewers or our podcast listeners, we know that this is where your fan depth is at. You love your Tigers, you love your Rebels, and we just bring this show to you every single week for that exact reason. So you know how it is. The only way through our podcast is through the SEC. So, Mr. Logan Landers, will you tell us what do we have to look forward to from the Auburn Tigers versus the Ole Miss Rebels?
Yeah, man, let's get into it. Let's talk about these Auburn Tigers real quick. So far, right now, sitting at 500 on the season, 3-3 to be exact. Back-to-back losses so far. Lost to LSU, 21-17. And then this past week, they had to face the wrecking crew that was the Georgia Bulldogs. Lost 42-10 in that one. We know Georgia had a purpose, right? They were, at the time, ranked number 2. Now back in the number 1 spot. They were wanting to reclaim their throne, and they did just that. So looking at what Auburn did, quarterback Robbie Ashford, 13 of 38 passing, 165 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Got to get that up, right? Not the best numbers there, and he's got to play a little bit better if Auburn wants to compete in this upcoming ball game. The rushing game, like I said, Ashford led the way there, 9 carries for 52 yards. As a team, 25 carries for 93, only a 3.7 average. Got to improve that as well. But we know Georgia's got that top-tier defense. It's hard to get anything on them. The receiving corps led the way by Jarquez Hunter, 3 grabs for 73 yards and a touchdown. And behind him was John Samuel Schinker, 5 catches for 32. The defense, right, had a tough go at it, but they did. You can say you shut out Georgia in the first quarter, so you can hold your head high with that. Owen Papo led the way with 8 tackles on the team. Donovan Kaufman behind him with 7. They had 1 sack as a team, give that one to Colby Wooden, and 3 tackles for loss. No interceptions. And like I said, they were just struggling to get out the gate against Georgia. Like I said, they only got 10 points. That came in the second half, so it was tough, just tough going at it for the Auburn Tigers. But let's talk about Ole Miss, man. The Rebels, they've had a tremendous year. Perfect 6-0 on the season. They went up against Vanderbilt, man, and they put them down, man. It was rough to watch if you are a Vanderbilt Commodores fan. They won 52-28. That offense, man, we know it's high-powered. And they were electric. In the game, Jackson Dart, a name which has been coming up across a lot of the top quarterbacks in the SEC, he did it once again, man. 25 of 32 passing. That's real good. But 448 passing yards. A 14.0 average. I mean, that's almost a first down and a half, man. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But, man, when you're throwing the ball for close to 500 yards, I think you can get away with 2 interceptions. I mean, just phenomenal. The running game did really well also. Zach Evans led with 11 carries for 80 yards. Behind him was Judkins, 11 carries for 46. As a team, they had it 28 times for 143 yards, good for a 5.1 average. So you're going to want to keep that up as well to just kind of mix it up a little bit. The receiving corps, they were very happy, obviously. Jonathan Mingo was the big breadwinner in this one with a total of 9 catches for 247 yards. I had to keep refreshing and refreshing my browser to make sure someone didn't put a misprint in there. But nope, it is correct. A 27.4 average and 2 touchdowns on the day. Now, Jeremiah, I couldn't even do that in Madden. And this guy's doing it in real life. That's insane. Jordan Watkins, also a very good day. 7 catches for 117 yards and also got in the end zone. So they were pretty happy, I think. I'm sure they all went out, had a nice dinner afterwards, and they were feeling good about themselves. The defense, like I said, no slouch as well. gave up 28 points, but AJ Finley once again led the way, 13 total tackles. Behind him was Troy Brown with 7. But one thing they are going to have to improve on this week against Auburn, because it wasn't all perfect, they didn't have any sacks in the ball game. Got to get to the quarterback a little bit. They did have 3 tackles for loss. They did have 8 passes defended, so the secondary was working well to go along with the team. But you got to get some turnovers, I think. You got to get some sacks, got to get some interceptions. But overall, like I said, the offense is really what is carrying this Ole Miss squad right here. And that's why, Jeremiah, I got the Rebels getting the W in this one. I just think that offense is too high-powered right now. I think Auburn, they've got some bright spots, but I just don't think it's there quite yet for them at the moment. So I'm going to go with the final score in this one. Ole Miss Rebels 37 and the Auburn Tigers 17. I just think that offense for Ole Miss is going to show out once again, and they're going to remain undefeated on the 2022 season.
Wow. Yes. Well, let's see if Ole Miss can do it. They do seem to be looking great. The Auburn Tigers really want to get their season back where it's supposed to be at, and we all want to see exactly what happens with it. So all of our live viewers and our podcast listeners, we want to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think will be the final score? If you're watching our live broadcast or watching it on the replay, then please put in the comments exactly what you think the final score will be and what do you think the keys are the game for Auburn to turn it around and for Ole Miss to keep on going for an undefeated season. And if you're listening to our podcast, first off, thank you so much. We love our podcast listeners. We have so many of you that have been joining us week after week. But if not, come and join us. We're over on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Amazon, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Overcast, Google Podcast, or anywhere that you love listening to podcasts, including on the Believe Podcast Network, which is our sponsor. You can just look for our football on the 50-yard line there, and that's where you can find us anytime that you need to look for a great podcast that's about football. Just look up 100 Yards of Football. And we'll be there for you every single day, week after week, in and out. This is our prime time. We love the season. So, yeah, definitely let us know. Well, thank you, Mr. Logan Landers, for that NCAA Week 7 coverage of the Auburn Tigers versus the Ole Miss Rebels. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and we'll be right back with another live episode. Stay tuned.